Smith is gay. His first lover was Tyler, the Creator. We all know he got mad when Tyler, the Creator, cheated on him. He got out there, and then Will was like, "You're my son, bro. You can have your feelings, but you can't be out here like that." He stopped it, shut it down.
Nobody handed you that warning. Nobody told you what was coming, because what you just heard isn't gossip. That is somebody describing a father reaching into his son's life and ripping out who he was allowed to love.
Grabbed his son's face and kissed him on the mouth. On camera, Jaden didn't lean in. The internet never forgot it.
The internet saw that moment and called it weird. But Jaden saw it every single day, not on a screen, in his house, in his life, with no way out.
But your husband was doing things to boys and did stuff to your son and you ain't do shit about it. Bilal told me everything.
And that is where this story actually begins. Not with the tweets, not with the fashion, not with Tyler, the Creator. It begins inside a household where the rules didn't apply, and a boy had no language yet to describe what was being done to him. Today, Jaden Smith is breaking down, and what he's revealing points directly back to his father. Let's get into it. Before we talk about what Jaden is revealing now, we need to go back, way back. Because you cannot understand why Jaden is breaking down in 2025 and 2026 unless you understand what his childhood actually looked like behind those cameras. Most kids grow up figuring out who they are in private, in school hallways, in their bedrooms. Through awkward phases, nobody films. Jaden Smith never got that. He wasn't in classrooms with kids his age. He was in boardrooms, sitting at the head of the table, while grown adults debated business numbers around him. 7 years old, head of the table, surrounded by adults. And Will Smith, the most charismatic, dominant personality in that room, was engineering every single second of it. This wasn't an accident. This was a plan. Will didn't just want Jaden to be an actor. He wanted Jaden to be a franchise, a brand, Mickey Mouse with a heartbeat. So after The Pursuit of Happiness hit, after Jaden proved at 7 years old that he could carry a $55 million film, Will saw a billion-dollar machine. He mapped it all out. After Earth was supposed to be a multimedia empire, a sequel, an animated series, a live-action series, a video game, theme park attractions, cologne lines, a social media platform, with Jaden's face on all of it. And here is the most chilling part of that plan. Jaden didn't design it. Jaden didn't choose it. He was born into it. He lost his trust in his father's leadership. Those are Will Smith's own words. Not a journalist, not an enemy, not a disgruntled ex-friend. Will Smith himself admitted he coached his son into humiliation, that Jaden did everything he was told, that the damage to their relationship was real. And what did Jaden do when After Earth destroyed his reputation, his career, and his relationship with his own father? He asked to be emancipated. At 15 years old, Jaden Smith looked at his parents and said, "I need to legally separate myself from you." That is not a teenager throwing a tantrum. That is a child screaming for an exit. Now here's where this gets layered. Because while Jaden was trying to figure out who he was after Earth, after the humiliation, after asking for emancipation, something else was happening. He was falling in love. And the person he fell in love with was Tyler, the Creator.
I want to tell you guys something. I want to tell you, Tyler doesn't want to say, but Tyler's my boyfriend, and he's been my boyfriend my whole life. Tyler, the Creator, is my boyfriend. It's true.
The crowd went insane. Tyler, who was in that crowd, was laughing. He was blushing. And for one moment, Jaden Smith stood on that stage and told the truth about himself in front of thousands of people without flinching. That wasn't a bit. He confirmed it immediately after on Beats One Radio. Dead serious, no retraction, no backtracking. And then when Tyler won his Grammy in 2020, Jaden was the first person to post about it. He wrote, "My boyfriend just won a Grammy." But here's the thing that nobody was talking about loud enough. Tyler never gave the same energy back. Publicly, he deflected. He laughed it off. He never confirmed or denied in any meaningful way. And people assumed it was because Tyler wasn't comfortable with his own sexuality. But according to multiple sources, including someone who has known the Smith family for decades, that's not the full story. The reason Tyler pulled back wasn't entirely Tyler's decision. Will Smith got involved.
Will was like, "You're my son, bro. You can have your feelings, but you can't be out here like that." He stopped it, shut it down.
Read that again slowly. Oh, you can have your feelings, but you can't be out here like that. Will Smith, a man whose own sex sexuality has been questioned by multiple people close to him, looked at his son being openly, joyfully, publicly in love with another man, and shut it down. He went behind the scenes, he got in Jaden's ear, he made Tyler uncomfortable enough that Tyler started pulling away, and eventually the relationship ended. Jaden was devastated, and Will Smith, according to Orlando Brown, was happy about it. Now, why would a father be happy that his son's relationship ended? That is the question this whole video is really asking. To understand why Will would do that, why he would actively destroy his own son's romantic relationship, you need to meet one man, Brother Bilal Salam. 40 years. He was in the memoir. He was in the photographs. He was on set. He was at the birthday parties. He knew where every skeleton was buried. And then in 2021, the Smiths asked him to sign an NDA. He refused. And the moment that NDA door closed, the interview door flew wide open. What Bilal started saying wasn't just about Will's private life. It was about a pattern of Will Smith putting his hands on people in ways that made them deeply uncomfortable. He described walking in on Will and actor Dwayne Martin in a dressing room.
I open the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having with Will.
Let me process that for a second.
There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up.
Will's team called it completely fabricated. Dwayne Martin's team denied it. Jada went on The Breakfast Club and called it a money shakedown.
Ridiculous, right? And it's nonsense. And this is a person that tried a shakedown, a money shakedown that didn't work.
No, but here's what Jada couldn't dismiss. Bilal also described Will grabbing Alfonso Ribeiro Carlton from Fresh Prince and squeezing his body at a reunion in a way that made people uncomfortable. He described Will being physically inappropriate with people in professional settings, people who couldn't push back because of who Will Smith was. And then, and this is where it connects to Jaden Jaguar Wright, added her own piece to the puzzle. She said that Bilal told her something even darker.
Husband was doing things to boys and did stuff to your son, and you ain't do shit about it. Bilal told me everything.
Did stuff to your son. Those words have been floating around the internet for years. People heard them, clipped them, reposted them, but most people connected them to the wrong dots. Because when you connect them to what Jaden himself has said in his own words, in his own interviews, the picture becomes impossible to ignore. Let's talk about what Jaden has been dropping. Not in press releases, not in formal interviews, in fragments, in posts, in interviews where he says something just slightly too specific to be coincidence. In December 2024, a resurfaced interview began circulating, one where Jaden described a moment from his childhood. Will pulling his pants down to embarrass him in front of people. On the surface, weird parenting story. Dad being over the top. But in the context of everything Bilal was saying about Will's physical boundary issues, about a man who seemed to have no concept of where his body ended and other people's began, that story landed completely differently. People started looking at the footage of Will forcing kisses on Jaden at public events with new eyes.
Jaden, come on.
And it wasn't just the kiss, it was the way it happened. Or Jaden trying to pull away. Will holding him tighter, grabbing his face, not letting go. One commenter said it perfectly. If a father kissed his daughter like that, grabbing her face, holding her down while she's desperately trying to get away, we would all be horrified. Why is the reaction different when it's a son? Now layer on what Jaden posted on X in October 2024, where he addressed years of people calling him weird. He told people he was just being himself, but the internet didn't read it that way. People read it as coded. They said this isn't a young man defending his personality. This is someone trying to reclaim an identity that was shaped for him by someone else. And when you consider that Jaden spent his entire childhood with no boundaries, no concept of what was normal versus what wasn't, because Will and Jada's entire parenting philosophy was to remove those walls, the weirdness starts to look less like a personality trait and more like a trauma response. Tear down the walls between adult life and childhood. That sounds progressive in a TED Talk. In practice, it meant a 7-year-old sitting at the head of a business meeting. It meant a teenager watching his own friend become his mother's romantic partner, and then watching the whole world find out about it on a talk show his mother hosted. It meant growing up in a household where his father's sexuality was allegedly a secret, where the rules of the marriage kept changing, where nothing was what it appeared to be. And it meant that when Jaden started having feelings for another man, feelings that were real and deep, and that he was brave enough to stand on a stage and announce to thousands of people, his father looked at him and said, "Shut it down." Here is the part of this story that nobody is saying loud enough. Will Smith, according to his former best friend of 40 years, is not a straight man. Bilal's account, Jaguar Wright's account, David Arquette's Facebook post claiming Will's first marriage ended because his wife walked in on him with another man. Benny Medina, Will's former manager, the man who helped launch his career. These are not new rumors. They have circulated in Hollywood circles for years. And here is the devastating irony at the center of this entire story. A man who is allegedly hiding his own sexuality from the world, who allegedly has been living on the down low for decades, looked at his son being openly, freely, joyfully himself and destroyed it. Not because he was protecting Jaden, because Jaden being out loud about who he loved was a mirror Will Smith could not afford to have reflecting back at him. If Jaden is openly gay, people start asking questions about the household he grew up in. If Jaden is openly in love with Tyler, the creator, people start examining what was modeled for him at home. If Jaden is free, Will is exposed. So Will made sure Jaden wasn't free. He got in his ear, he worked on Tyler, he shut the relationship down, and he told his son, "You can have your feelings. Just don't be out here like that." That is not parenting. That is control. Now we arrive at where Jaden is today, and the picture is not okay. In June 2025, reports surfaced about Jaden's alleged drug use. Paraphernalia spotted, people close to him expressing concern. And that same year, Will Smith publicly admitted he made very terrible parenting mistakes. Not minor missteps, not small regrets, very terrible mistakes. A delayed confession because the radical honesty, the blurred boundaries, the exposure to adult situations from birth, the business meetings at 7, the billion-dollar franchise plan, the forced public image, the destroyed relationship, the kiss on camera that Jaden kept trying to pull away from. All of it is collapsing in on Jaden at once. And in July 2025, a Spanish outlet reported that Jaden made a shocking confession about Will Smith that left people speechless. The details were thin. International tabloids always frame things dramatically. But the fact that the headline ricocheted across every platform within hours tells you something. People believe it, not because they want salacious gossip, because they've been watching the breadcrumbs for years. The emancipation attempt at 15. The tweets that read differently now than they did then. The fashion choices that Will never understood and reportedly hated. The relationship with Tyler that Will ended. The October 2024 post where Jaden told the world he was just being himself. And people responded not with mockery, but with something that looked a lot like recognition. Like they finally understood what he had been trying to say this whole time. He wasn't being weird, he was surviving. And while Jaden was surviving, his parents were maintaining a performance. Because here is the fact that reframes everything. Will and Jada have been separated since 2016. 7 years, red carpets, joint interviews, press tours, magazine covers, all of it a performance. Behind closed doors, Will was in one place. Jada was nearby, but not with him, and the children lived inside that performance. Jaden watched his parents call each other husband and wife on television while privately living separate lives. He watched his own friend become his mother's entanglement. He watched his father claim his mother, publicly screaming, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth," on the biggest stage in entertainment, knowing that the word wife hadn't been used between them in years. And through all of it, Jaden was supposed to smile, perform, be the brand, be the franchise, be the next Will Smith, while slowly, quietly, in fragments and posts and coded language, he was screaming, tea leaves. That is exactly what it has been. Piece by piece, year by year, tweet by tweet. Jaden Smith has been telling this story in the only language he was allowed to use. And now in 2025 and into 2026, the fragments are coming together fast enough that the full picture is becoming impossible to deny. Here is where I leave you, not with answers, because nobody outside that house has all the answers, but with one question that this entire story keeps circling back to. If Will Smith allegedly hid his own sexuality from the world for decades, if he allegedly destroyed his son's relationship with another man the moment it became too public, if multiple people who were inside his inner circle, his best friend of 40 years, his former assistant, mom associates who signed ND, keep saying the same things about physical boundaries and behavior behind closed doors. And if Jaden Smith spent his entire childhood in a household with no walls, no privacy, no concept of what was appropriate versus what wasn't, then what exactly was Jaden being protected from? Or more accurately, what was Jaden being kept from escaping? Because based on everything we've seen, the emancipation request, the destroyed relationship, the coded posts, the drug reports, the admission of terrible parenting mistakes, the 40-year friendship that ended the moment an NDA was refused. This story is not over. Jaden is still leaving breadcrumbs, and at some point, whether in an interview, a post, a memoir, or a courtroom, he is going to drop the whole loaf. And the world world is going to have to reckon with what was really happening inside the most famous household in Hollywood. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you watch the next video, because we are going nowhere on this story.